Greetings and welcome to the energy of Taurus. This is Ron from Terror of the Twin Sun. Welcome to the channel and thank you for supporting the channel and its contents. I do welcome you to this session, which channels the energy of the second house and the energy of Shukra, Venus, which is the stellar configuration celestial body in the sky that dominates over what we can hold and what we need to let go gracefully in terms of the energy of grace. We shall look into the Great Mirror. The Great Mirror is a tool devised by the Order of the Twin Sun in order to see apparent karmas between the energy of Taurus and the significance of another through the seventh house primarily. Um, so we'll go ahead and begin with an energy reading. Um, And also, I would like to invite you to support the channel and the Order of the Twin Sun, either through small donation, and you will also have the availability of seeing an extended for this reading. Okay, this is for the month of July for the energy of Taurus. Second house is open. Okay. What about this? Okay, the roots. Okay, I am seeing here something that you may be second guessing. This has to do with uh, heritage, the idea of family, the idea of legacy, okay? What you can gain, what you can attain in terms of the Ten of Pentacles, okay? This has to do with desire, but also artha, the idea of bringing forth a grounding of sorts, materialization, grounding all of this energy into commitments, great commitments, either workplaces or commitments with a partner, or partnerships are greatly enunciated in this karma reading, okay? And there is a place of being that is very hearty and wholesome for the energy of Taurus for the time being. Not feeling left out, feeling completely at ease at home with responsibilities, contracts, okay? Work, work is definitely in the cards as well. Um, but there's something that you are second guessing when it comes to all of this. It could be that there is a hidden form of inspiration or hidden form of devotion that needs to be tapped into when it comes to the realities of work, the realities of contracts, what you essentially need to be loyal to is in question here. This has to do also with something from the near past in which the energy of Taurus is negotiating um, essentially where to place their intuition, where to place their creative pool, and how to gain resources from that pool. Where is the source? Where's the source has been on the quest for the energy of Taurus for the time being. So it may be that you have been trying to search through realms of questioning when it comes to especially what is valuable in terms of the deeper recesses or the deeper emotional sort of the emotional fluidity, the emotional resources, the emotional currency has been coming into question. With the Seven of Cups here, there is a deep intensified sort of haze in all of this, and it could be that emotions have to have been suppressed in some sort of way, even if you have had to extricate yourself out of certain situations in order to save face, in order to be reasonable. There is essentially here a questioning, um, really trying to find a sense of empowerment in it all. It seems that you've been gifted either social status or recognition of some sort within connections, within contracts, within your workplace. And this is a gift. But even then, some gifts, the way in which they are delivered seems to be in question now. And there's something about you also that has to do with your future self, essentially trying to find a sense of truth in it all, from a very cold, detached perspective of these emotions that might have been shed in some form. This could also pertain to lost love in order to reinforce a state of well-being in terms of what is practical, what is able to hold its structure over time, what is reasonable. But there still is this sort of retroactive gaze that needs to find truth from the separation, from the loss, if you will, even if it was a loss that was calculated. There seems to be also a loss of love or a loss of inspiration here. Okay, never fear. With the Seven of Swords and the King of Swords, once again, Aquarian energy coming into my readings, there is a strong indication here of the highest evolution of the 11th house that stems from the 10th house in Capricorn to Aquarius to the 11th with the king. And what the king does is he takes from the Six of Swords a sense of peace of mind in order to redistribute thoughts in a retroactive way. The idea here is to be mature enough to note this and to note that your future self is doing this from a futuristic perspective, from a futuristic stance, okay, that is very clear-minded, that is very pure of mind, in order to glean a sense of truths, especially about certain separations or the way the mind has operated in the past to protect yourself from emotional warbling or warping. Okay, this is something that has to do with the rite of passage of the mind being split in some sort of way, the mind still moving forward into the future, yet the emotional sort of waters being sort of flooded out and strained in some sort of way. This could speak of drought. This could speak of infertility in a land that is much like domicile or much like city. This talks about civilization without the fruits or the creative aspects of culture. Okay, the dry husk of contracts. Okay, that is the pre-read. We shall use quite a bit from the bicycle deck for clarity when it comes to karma within the Great Mirror. But for now, we shall look into the Great Mirror, which is once again a tool devised by the Order of the Twin Sun in order to see apparent karmas that exist between one side and another, one side being the second house. Okay, the second house revolves around resourcefulness, immediate family, pledges, something that is within, right before home but after self. Okay, so this has to do with the oscillation of what we can fixate on in terms of our most immediate things. You know, if you think about third houses, it's about hands, it's about Gemini, but Taurus is more about essentially what can be aesthetically held on to according to the idea, not from the ego, but from the idea of structuring or holding certain realistic principles. Okay, and then the opposite of that is the eighth house, losing all of that or hiding it in secrecy. Taurus is a radiant sign with the light bringer, Venus watching over her, the luminosity and the knowledge that Taurus brings into the great equation is indicative of the ox year, okay, which is what we're going through in Chinese zodiac. You can Google that or YouTube quite a bit about that. I would recommend in terms of that. Mostly Polina Okina. She is a very decent astrologer when it comes to analyzing the year of the ox throughout astrology, crossing over Chinese and tropical, mostly tropical gleanings. So I'm going to be using a special deck for the energy of the Great Mirror, fundamentally at least. And we'll go ahead and add layers and layers as we go through the extended. But this will be the surface of it all, the liminal reading. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Beautiful. What I see so far emerges from the realm of Gemini, the third house. Okay. In this emergence, there is a propensity for inspiration, for love, as well as hidden love of some sort, a great wealth of resources, and a narrative that has to do with the secret structure that is fallen when it comes to legacy, or the idea of intense intermingling with a karmic other. Okay, this has to do with the idea of mula. Okay, which in Vedic principle is the root of it all. Muladhara chakra, for example, is mula, is the key word, and mula, it means roots. So the roots are strong within this connection. Primarily, they are magical in some dimension. There's a hidden emotional core that is quite deeply rooted when it comes to the centrality of this love, but also secret, and secret structures that have fallen according to the energy of the sun are here. Eclipses. One eclipses the other. One is hidden. One is reflective. The other is more radiant. But this radiance has caused, essentially, the disintegration of such a situation, potentially, but also on a more positive aspect, the tower. It indicates the destruction of ego and essentially the coming forth of what may be known as the subtle forces of the infinite, the waters of the infinite, and how love transcends all of this bullshit. There's a magical realism to all of this, but with the chariot in the reverse, there is no harmony when it comes to the thought process of this, and it's very difficult to express emotions to the significant other, and vice versa. But at the same time, there is a possibility of what? Of yes. Let's see here. King of Pentacles in reverse. Seven of Cups in the upright, along with Queen of Rods, and behind the Queen is the Page of Cups. There is an innocence behind all of this that needs to express itself. An innocence. It's demure, but also it is sincere. We go ahead and move on. When it comes to your place within this connection, there is two paths leading into one. The pathwork here, the 22, steadfast. If you break it down to 4, there is an element of structure at the crossroads. Now, this talks about rite of passage and the fusing of certain paths into one. Okay. That is the energy of Taurus. Essentially, the inevitability of all, the fixity of it all, emerges out of this with the Queen of Pentacles. So you are sitting very pretty here, but what you are dealing with, essentially, is someone who's going through a Christ complex. There's something about them that is possibly in the dark night of the soul, with the Six of Rods in the reverse. They're also being perceived as a necessary evil, whatever that may mean, necessary evil to that in which they do. And the graces that the Queen of Pentacles have is for a futuristic road that is inevitable. It is fixed, and it fuses other ones together. Okay, so it could have been that you have been oscillating between two various paths when it comes to you and this person, but the paths eventually lead to the future of some sort. What future is there? We shall discern in the extended. There also is a possibility that this person has gone through a great deal of, once again, the idea of dark night, which is the loss of God, depression, psychological symptoms of withdrawal in terms of this depression and chemical imbalances. At the same time, there's something heroic about them. With the cross in the reverse, there is also a possibility of the hanged man emerging from this. Okay, Aquarian nature, detachment, spiritual evolution on the path to ascension. The 11th house once again makes its way in. And with that, there is a possibility that they are a quasi-spiritualist who is on the path of darkness that is coming to light. Okay, it just takes a great deal of time. But with the 6 of rods in the reverse and the 3 and the 6 here, there is the signature of Guru and also the sun, but it's the dark sun, okay? It's the setting sun, or the sun that is on the other side of, of terra firma. With this, the hanged man is no longer hanging. He's standing, but he's standing on one foot, which is indicative of Purva Bhadrapada. Now, Bhadrapada means the holy-footed one. And this is usually indicative of a lightning bolt. If you think of a lightning bolt, the way it strikes usually in pairs. There's a diasporic or a sort of forking to it. This is also indicative of Vishaka energy. Okay, so there is that too. Again, the two paths here as well. The hanged man that becomes standing, but potentially just on one foot. Usually this indicates the path of the spiritualist, but also this is very much based on the idea of yoga, two paths coming together, becoming one, united. So this is a very spiritual connection. I think both of you are aware of that. What emerges on the conscious level, yes, once again, it's a spiritual connection that is based on expectation, but this expectation lasts lifetimes. And not only that, there is a need to find the self through the other, and find it through some form of teamwork. Okay, triple C's here as well. I don't know what the hell that means, but fairly interesting, I guess. No. What soulmates do, okay, what the idea of a bird is, okay, and a nun told me this once. She sat me down and she said, Ron, you're just a Hansa, you're just a vehicle, okay? A Hansa, which is like the sort of hand of Fatima. It's also known as a Hansa, but it's not to be mistaken with Hamsa. Hamsa means the bird, the flying bird that flies over the swan. Okay, and this is a transcendental vehicle in which we live. So the indication here, at least on a conscious level, is that both of you know that you have been living certain patterns, or at least reflective of this idea of union through the other, and this idea of the gateway of the infinite through the other. Okay, strong devotional sort of aspects here, but your significant other is going through difficulty in this respect. When it comes to the soul level, there is a sense that strength is found here through authority, okay, especially authority in which you can take the power and move it elsewhere, okay? This actually causes a sort of rebound effect for you, Taurus. The thing is that with the first house activated here as well, the 11th house activated here, the 11 activated here as well, the 5th house with the energy of Leo, 7th house here, and the 8 of Cups. 8 of Cups indicative of Cancer. That is the 4th house. There's a great deal of housework going on in this. But when it comes to the primary sort of Atma, the soul, the essence of Taurus, it moves back one house, which is, excuse me, which is 12 from your first, okay? This is on a solar or a Lagna chart, 12 from your first, which is the spiritual aspect of this. You find empowerment in this connection, and you find empowerment by moving away from it, which is quite ridiculous. But at the same time, extremely self-affirming. Once again, the Hanged Man is wearing. See, the Hanged Man normally is one-footed, okay? With the second foot moving elsewhere, it's suspended. That is usually indicative of the Deva, okay? Which in in classical sort of religious iconography. Um, the deva, for example, is standing on one foot. It's a posture of great austerity. Okay, and the hanged man usually has that by the hanging or the suspension from one foot. This is indicative of self empowerment, but in the materialistic realm, also in the realm of what you desire. You have a great propensity to bring forward realities that are essentially self authoritative, okay, but also lead to the same place regardless of which path you take. It is inevitable. It is a path of spirituality, but it's also rooted in what you can gain, what you can attain in terms of your sense of empire or legacy, okay, and this is self authorized. This has to do with your own power. Okay, in relation to this, that is significant, considering you move away, or at least you face away from these ideas, these secrets that are quite poetic. There's a strong connection, perhaps obsession that you may have that is secret to this individual person, place, or thing. If it is not secret, there are secrets that they harbor from your knowing. But in the sort of unknowing of this, there is a great sort of mystery that reveals the path that they are on, okay? Which is essentially the Eight of Cups. What is the Eight of Cups? Traditional Rider-Waite, the Eight of Cups shows the hermit, the unevolved hermit, or the fool, the cloaked fool that is walking away from the great investments of the past in order to walk a path of ascension, if you will. Okay, moving to the Nine of Cups, which has to do with spiritual detachment or unconditionality when it comes to love and potential realms of acceptance, of grace. Okay, but the true grace is actually refraining from all of this. There's something about them that is having a difficult spiritual aspect that is unknown to you, but through the unknowing, once again, there is a sort of mystery that compels you to this sort of this quasi enlightenment that they may be going through. At the same time, what emerges from this? The paths of love are closed. The Nine of Cups is here in the reverse. Okay, so your relation to this person is it's not illegal. Um, it's just something that is quite suspended in terms of its affordability. What I mean by this is that there's something about detachment, yet the memories and the connection itself serves as a great temptation for both of you. And there's something about it that nurtures you as well. If you take the nine in reverse from the eight in the upright, the cups sequence, you get the Ace of Cups here. So there is love here for you to have, but I think it is also something that you can objectify. As you can see, there is a quasi cup scepter here, some sort of receptor in which there's a flower coming out of the sword or the chalice of the sword of the emperor. Um, so what emerges out of this is something that you can grow from this cup. It's as if, and I'm not calling you anything in terms of, it's something that you can artistically perhaps grasp. The symbology of all of this when it comes to a relationship can be externalized as something you can hold physically, but also metaphysically. It represents what springs forth from the holding, from this sensuality. Okay, um, the idea of the Nine of Cups in reverse and the paths of love being closed and the rider, which is here, the rider which cannot travel the paths of love, is being blocked by obstacles. This is a very deep reading, extremely romantic, cosmologically sound, and also extremely poetic. When I see the rider, I think, and the rider and the birds, there certainly is a great need, but also a great facility for love, but also unconditional forms of love that spans throughout the ages, and I think it's quite something. Now, there's something that is going on in terms of manifestation. The magical realm is filled to the brim, with the idea of Libra in the reverse here, the Queen of Swords, the Rainha de Espada, okay, which is in Portuguese, or Spanish. No Portuguese, no Spanish, no Portuguese. Rainha de Espada. There's something about intuition becoming fear, the conversion of emotions that are lovable into fear, into a self-defensive mode. Something about this is too powerful for you to contain or to deal with, okay? And therefore, it triggers a survivalistic instinct within the energy of Taurus. And it tries to certainly cut out, unwittingly even, sort of self-defensively, sort of cut out things automatically cut out certain things. And this is also things from the past. There's a very futuristic look and perspective from the energy of Taurus. It's very positive, but also it's about cutting things from the past. This person is mirroring you, by the way. They're also doing the same thing. With Aforza, this is the 5th house, also the 11th on that axis, which is the house of fixity. Libra is the card, or Libra is the suit. With the excuse me, Libra is essentially a cardinal energy. Leo is a fixed as well, with a forza, which is force. There is a certain amount of, if you can see, there's a contract being torn here with force, and also the riddle of the Sphinx in both, riddle of the Sphinx here. A puzzling riddle here. They are dealing with something from the external world that they have to close off in terms of a chapter. This has to do with words said or contracts made with others, okay? And this is causing a type of spiritual shift for them. A lot of them is emotional and subliminal. And in this subliminality, there's a great deal of ridiculousness about them. I feel pity for them. Perhaps that's something that the Queen of Swords does as well. But she's in a very defensive mode, and there's something about the you knowing about this on an unconscious level, or Taurus knowing about this on a subconscious or unconscious level, that is preparing for the worst when it comes to this. You care much about this individual, but something about what they're doing, it reflects the sort of cutting that they're doing, the sort of sharpness that they have. Okay, what emerges out of this is the fool's a way out of craziness. Okay, a way out of craziness. It could be that they're also pulling the contract, attempting to burn karma in some sort of way, which can be a very, very strong move on their end. It gives them a sense of strength. Perhaps you are trying to channel your energies in order to, especially creative energies, emotional, motherly energies, in order to prevent any further harm to you. What emerges out of this is a sense of the madness being taken down, the ego being subdued or dissolved in some sort of way. The Fool's Journey also indicates in the reverse a loss of faith within each other, a loss of faith within the foolishness of, say, love, or the foolishness of passions that may burn each other into infinitesimal sort of bits. Okay, this speaks about essentially losing faith within the connection, I think, but also not being impractical, being very practical, looking forward into the future. This person has a lot to deal with in terms of their own God complex, whatever that means, their own sort of responsibilities that may be hidden from you. Okay, these are very deep contracts that they have with their own external world or with significant others of their own. In terms of advice, yes. Okay. There's something about your resources and your ability to bring forth a curatorial way of straining and coming up with a singular path. Um, and this path is your own. It is something that you must disintegrate from any others. And in this, you give yourself and endow yourself uh, an amount of a degree of self-respect and social grace. Okay, that essentially grants you a sense of rite of passage and a sense of power. Okay, this is your own path, and it has nothing to do with what they have brought upon you. There also is something about them that um, is no longer sort of mad. They're very inwardly drawn for the time being. We're going to look into that within the extended. This is once again Ron from Terror of the Twin Sun. If this is where we part ways, I do welcome you to subscribe and like, if you will. Otherwise, I will be doing that follow up, and you can follow the extended through the email link I've generated and just request the extended for Taurus. And I will send you a link for my PayPal. A small donation would be very much greatly appreciated for the Order of the Twin Sun. Otherwise, I do wish you well, and may the auspices of Venus watch over you and give you grace as well. May the actions that you take reflect the singularity and the purpose and drive and ambition that will give you the resources that you so seek. Thank you very much, and namaste. Bye bye.